CM Punk is 1000% dethroning Cody Rhodes in 2025 for the WWE title after last night Raw, and I am so certain that's going to happen. Whether that's at this year's WrestleMania because Punk wins the Royal Rumble, or whether that's later on in 2025, I am super certain that Punk's going to be the one to dethrone Cody Rhodes. Last night's Monday Night Raw was a really good go-home episode. Going into this year's Royal Rumble, there is a lot to talk about. We have more people declaring for the Royal Rumble. We have more build for Kevin Cody. I'm super excited to see what's going to happen at this year's Royal Rumble. As I've said multiple times the last few weeks, I really feel that this year is the most unpredictable for the men and women in recent time. I think I've said that the last 3 years, but I truly believe this year is even more predictable than the last few years. And last night's Raw added to that unpredictability. And here I'm going to give you guys all of my thoughts on last night's 2.5-hour Raw, which I think is the sweet spot to run Monday Night Raw instead of 3 hours. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and let's get ready for Monday Night Raw review. We start off Monday Night Raw with Seth freaking Rollins. He says it's his favorite time of the year because it's almost WrestleMania season. He recaps his start of the year, saying that he suffered his most embarrassing loss to CM Punk. He said it made him even question who he was, but then he realized he's Seth freaking Rollins and that he is going to win the Royal Rumble and throw everyone out, whether your name is Jey Uso, John Cena, or Roman Reigns. Of course, they have a long history together, so seeing these two go at it once again at a Royal Rumble in the match would be amazing. But as soon as he says he's going to win that Royal Rumble, Gunther makes his way to the ring asking, "Where have you been lately? You're the former world champion, but I feel like you basically haven't been here." Says, "I've been busy kicking Jey Uso's ass and you're too busy dealing with all that drama with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns." He even questions Seth being able to win the Rumble, saying that it's 2025 and you're not the best wrestler anymore and that it's Gunther. But of course, Logan Paul made his return. He is now on Monday Night Raw. He came out and saying that these guys think they're special and ATL was giving him the heat. I really couldn't believe the heat he was getting. This was above Dominic Mysterio levels. Logan says that he is great at everything he does while these two are only good at wrestling and that Logan Paul will go on to win the Royal Rumble. So Logan Paul has announced that he's in the Royal Rumble. I'm not too surprised here. This Royal Rumble is already getting really top heavy, and adding a big celebrity name and Logan Paul is just going to add to it. And I'm hoping to see him get his ass beat. But this was a great opening segment. It really showed how good Logan is on the mic. The heat he was getting in Atlanta was insane. Gunther, I feel, is always underrated on the mic as well. He was able to shit on Logan Paul, make him look really inferior to him. I mean, at least to me, just the way he talked down to him. Logan, though, was able to get that heat and get under Gunther's skin really easily. So overall, a great opening segment here, making me even more excited for the Royal Rumble because I'm excited to see Logan Paul get his ass beat no matter what. CM Punk is then interviewed by Kathy Kelly backstage, and he is interrupted by Sami Zayn. Sami says he heard what Punk said about him last week. Says Punk is right, that Sami isn't on his level because he's a WrestleMania main eventer, unlike CM Punk. I love when they use this. This is like the second or third time someone has used this against CM Punk, and every time his reaction is gold. He just goes ghost face, his cheeks drop, and he just stares at them. So this was a great line from Sami. But what made this even better is Sami walks away and runs into Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross runs into him, tells him that he needs to listen to Kevin Owens. He's essentially trying to deter him into believing Kevin is right, which is crazy because we know what Kevin told Sami a few weeks ago about him being on his side and how he's always going to have his back, and how if he's going to scratch his back, he'll scratch his. So if Sami somehow helps Kevin against Cody at the Royal Rumble, will Kevin actually follow through and help Sami win the Royal Rumble? Spoiler alert, I don't think that happens. But Kross trying to get into Sami's head, and he even says there's a whole world of opportunity, and then he walks away. Cody Rhodes walks up to Sami. Sami just basically gives him a nod and walks away. But man, Karrion Kross, even though he hasn't really been in the most entertaining storylines with other wrestlers, besides maybe the Wyatt Six, I mean, I didn't really care for his story last year with the Pride, but I'm really into him being this like devil's advocate character, this guy who sees the true person behind what we see on TV and calls it out, and then that person becomes that person. I mean, it's been talked about for a year plus now with Karrion Kross, and it's just incredible how they keep it going, while at the same time, he's not really doing much himself. So props to WWE for making him interesting enough, but I also wish they made him more interesting in the ring at the same time. But overall, what a great backstage segment. We then get a World Tag Team title match, the War Raiders defending against the Judgment Day's JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio. Now, props to JD McDonough. This man took insane bump after bump in this match. He hit a springboard moonsault to the outside where he bounced his head off of the announce table. I didn't catch this initially live on my live reactions, but I saw the replay and it was disgusting. Even Michael Cole on commentary says that someone needs to come out and check on JD because he may have a concussion. It was serious, insane whiplash on that new announce table that's a lot bigger and wider, so it was crazy. And it's an indestructible table at this point, so it was really scary, but he was able to get up, and luckily the ATL crowd gave him a standing ovation after he was able to get up and get on the apron to continue the match. But that wasn't it. He took some insane bumps, like a shot to the back of the neck from Eric of the Viking Raiders during the match, took some spots off the apron. It was insane. And what was even scarier is after the match, which of course the War Raiders ended up retaining, JD McDonough collapsed as soon as he went backstage behind the LED boards. And it come to find out, what had happened was that he's apparently concussion cleared, but he has 2 broken ribs, which eventually punctured a lung. So he will be out for a few months. No exact timetable, but all the best wishes to JD McDonough. Thank you for that insane matchup, man. Putting your life on the line week after week. But last night especially, dude, I can't believe the stuff you did and how you were able to come off while being so badly hurt during that match. Just props to JD McDonough, and what a great match. War Raiders retain, but hopefully JD McDonough is able to return sooner than later. After that match, Pete Dunne is walking backstage and runs into Ludwig Kaiser, who tries to befriend him by talking about his loss to Penta last week, but the New Day immediately walk up and try to fit in and bond with them, like, what up now? And Ludwig and Pete Dunne were like, nah, fam. And they just totally walked away. And New Day were literally bewildered. They were like, what? These guys, some of the scummiest of the scum, are just gonna walk away from us? But of course, Kathy Kelly had to walk up to interview them. Kofi's talking about Atlanta's favorite son returning home. And Kathy's like, who? Braun Breaker? Austin Theory? Oh, you mean Cody Rhodes? Of course, they were talking about Xavier Woods. Woods goes on to talk about, no, it's me, and how it's my family's gonna be here ringside cheering me on in my match against Rey Mysterio, which we immediately jump into. Now we go ringside. Xavier Woods is entering to the ring, and his family is nowhere to be found. There's empty seats front row, and no Woods family. So they're kind of doing what they did with Kofi about a month or 2 ago, where his mom ended up showing up eventually. And that's exactly what happened with Woods. His family eventually shows up halfway through the match with Rey Mysterio. He goes up to his family. They are not showing any type of love or support to him. They're just kind of looking at him. Eventually, what is Xavier Woods' father unveils that they're all wearing New Day Sucks t-shirt, which are now available on WWE Shop. And of course, Woods gets all mad, gets all flustered. Eventually, it leads to Rey Mysterio winning the match and celebrating with Xavier Woods' family. So Kofi's mom and Woods' family do not support the New Day at all anymore after what they did to Big E. And now I loved this match. I thought it was a solid match and good storytelling to show that no one supports the New Day after what they did to Big E, whether it is Ludwig or Pete Dunne, who are heels, whether it is their own family. And I'm loving this story right now. Let me know down what you guys think about the story for the New Day. If you think that this is great, that his family and Kofi's family have turned their back on them, I think it's fantastic. Jey Uso gets a massive entrance in ATL after this. We see him come out with Quavo. They come out and they yeet all through the crowd. They get ringside. Of course, Michael Cole has Pat McAfee this week, so they're both going crazy doing the yeet. But then they ended up showing that Michael Cole missed dapping up Quavo like 3 times, and I don't blame him, man. I'm not the best at handshakes either, so Michael Cole, I feel you on that one. But Jey Uso came out and announced that he will be in the Royal Rumble after losing to Gunther this past Saturday at Saturday night's main event. This Rumble just keeps continuing to get more stacked and making it even more unpredictable and harder to pick who you think is going to win. We got a rather interesting Rhea Ripley interview backstage right after this, where she talks about her win against Nia Jax, saying that she had to remind her why mommy is always on top. Hey, yo. But then Bayley, the newest Raw acquisition, walks up to Rhea and tells her that she will win the Royal Rumble, just like she did last year. And Rhea says, well, good luck. But as soon as Bayley turns around, she runs into her former Damage Control teammate and Io Sky, who is now currently alone, as Kyrie and Dakota and Asuka are out due to injury. Io tells her, I will see you on Saturday, as she walks away. So, of course, we haven't had any Damage Control Bayley interaction since last year when they were split up in the draft. So now we're going to be getting some more interaction. Well, I guess you could count War Games now that I truly think about it, honestly, but as in a one-on-one interaction like that. So it was really cool to see them continuing this. Will they be friends now that Io is all alone because the rest of Damage Control is injured, or will they do battle once again at this Saturday's Women's Royal Rumble? I really don't know what to expect between those two, but again, this Women's Royal Rumble is the most unpredictable I think yet. I will have my predictions on the Royal Rumble up tomorrow, Wednesday, the 29th, so get ready for that video here on my YouTube. But what do you guys think? Who's walking out of the Royal Rumble as the women's winner? We get a Penta vignette where he claims that he will be in this year's Royal Rumble as well. So another big name added to this year's Royal Rumble. It's making it awesome. Paul Heyman comes out to the ring. He reveals the 2K25 cover as him and Roman, and it's a really dope cover. Here it is right here if you have yet to see it. There's also a deluxe cover for the Deadman edition and the Bloodline edition, which is the most expensive edition. I'm going to have a full video on my thoughts on all of everything 2K25 that has come out today on a later video. But Paul goes on to talk about how Roman Reigns is the one who's going to win this year's Royal Rumble, and the 29 other superstars are wannabe Roman Reigns. Drew McIntyre then comes out, and he comes out and says that he is the daddy of the Bloodline. He then goes on to describe the timeline on how everything went down, from him throwing out Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble, to Roman going away, to coming back with Paul, and the start of the Bloodline from there on out. So he calls himself the daddy of the Bloodline, which was insane. Paul just looks at him like, are you stupid? Eventually, though, Drew McIntyre gets so close to Paul Heyman while talking to him that Paul lets him know that he's crowding him. Drew actually backs away and says, I apologize there, Paul. And eventually he says, but I do have a message for you to pass on to your boy. Says he's gonna beat him within an inch of his life. Paul just kind of smirks and laughs, says, you know what? I will pass on that information to Roman Reigns. And Drew says, that's not for Roman Reigns. That's for CM Punk. So we are not done with Drew and Punk at all. And again, this Royal Rumble is so unpredictable. It's so top heavy. I really don't know what to expect to happen on Saturday. Of course, right after this, we have Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn, a rematch that we've had quite a bit of lately. I didn't get fully invested in this match just because of how much we've had this happen lately. I feel like it's happened at least 4 times in the last 3 months, maybe even more than that. But point being that I wasn't solely invested in this match. It wasn't even a bad match, to say the least. It was just hard for me to get super invested into something that I've seen so much of lately when it comes to these two. But it's telling a fun story with Sami, Drew, Punk, all of them. There's just so much intertwining of stories that help make this Royal Rumble unpredictable. So I did enjoy this segment with Drew and Paul and the match that followed with Sami Zayn. But of course, it led to after the match, which Drew won again. Sami has never beaten Drew, by the way, in singles matches, if that helps to understand why I didn't get invested. But after Drew beats down Sami, of course, Cody Rhodes comes out to make the save. But who other than Kevin Owens comes out to brawl with Cody during this whole kerfluffle? Eventually, we see Drew beating down Cody in the corner, and then we see what we saw last Monday. Sami Zayn goes to haluva kick Drew. He moved out of the way in time, therefore he kicks Cody Rhodes into oblivion. Cody looks stunned and can't believe he just got kicked by Sami Zayn. Of course, Sami once again is apologizing as KO and Drew both leave the ring happy of what just happened, and we cut to a commercial break. But I'm loving the story of basically Sami is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Does he side with Kevin? Does he side with everyone else, what he's already been doing? He's already getting, it from one end from Seth, mad about him siding with Roman and teaming with all of them again. Then he's also trying to be friends with KO, but also not overstep his bounds with Cody. It's just a great story. I'm really excited to see what happens next. Sami, especially during this Rumble. Like, is he gonna turn heel? Like, I really think that's a possibility at this point. Will Kevin Owens help him if he helps him? Like, it's so much unpredictability, I feel like. Eventually, we do come back from commercial break, and we get Cody Rhodes talking about him being the champion and how he's really come to find out that it's not about the physical titles that were hanging above him in that ring. It's a mindset. But before he could really go any further, we get CM Punk, who comes out, and he actually asks Cody if he's okay, because he just got beat down. He just wants to make sure Cody's doing all right. Eventually, Punk talks about knowing what it's like to be a champion for 300 plus days. He says he knows that Rhodes wants to be Bruno Sammartino or John Cena and do everything, but no one is Superman. He also brings up the busy schedule that Cody has and how he probably won't even sleep that night because he knows he's going to have some type of obligation for the WWE in the morning and later that next day, and just how he's always going to be busy as the world champion. He brings up how Cody probably won't even sleep a lot due to the obligations, says that someone will dethrone Cody one day, and Punk says it'll be him. Says he's not going to stab Cody in the back like everyone else. He'll stab him in the front. Cody then goes on to recap how him and Punk have history dating back to OVW, how Punk was the big name and everyone was chasing him, and then eventually he followed Punk not too long after Punk went to the main roster, and everyone was just trying to chase and follow Punk to that main stage to be cheered like he was as early as he has in his career. But now today it's Punk who's chasing Rhodes, and that he isn't the best in the world anymore, Cody says. This was a great back and forth segment. I barely did this any justice. So if you have Netflix, go back to Raw last night, the 27th, and watch it, because it was a great closing segment. We got 2 years in a row. Cody and Punk close the Go Home Raw for Royal Rumble, and both were fantastic and a great promo these two had, and it really made me believe that Punk's gonna be the one to dethrone Cody, whether that is him winning the Royal Rumble and doing it at WrestleMania, whether that's him winning Chamber and doing it at Mania, whether that's him doing it later this year at a different event. I think Punk is gonna be the one to dethrone Cody Rhodes. Now again, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Sammy and KO and Cody, but that one is also super ambiguous to me. Maybe it is KO, who is the one I've been wanting to dethrone Cody. But after last night's promo, it really made me believe it's not going to go that way. They're really going to swerve us, which I think the majority of us really feel like Sammy won't turn on Cody, even though he accidentally kicked him last night. I think that was the thing that sealed the deal for me, that he's not going to turn on Cody, was the remorse that he had in his face. And of course, he had the remorse when he did it to Seth last week as well. So I truly am just super excited for the unpredictability of the Royal Rumble weekend this weekend. This Raw added to my hype for the unpredictability. And I thought it was just a fantastic Raw. Another 2.5 hour Raw, just barely over 2.5 hours. I really think they found the sweet spot on the time. I've said this last week. I'll say it again this week. But overall, a fantastic Raw. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The matches, well, they were semi-forgettable. I am thinking that the storytelling outweighed the matches overall last night. What was everyone's thoughts of Raw? If you guys have different opinions, let me know down in the comments below. And also, as always, don't forget to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and also don't forget, I do live reactions to these episodes on my Twitch and here on YouTube. I always live stream them. So make sure you guys are following me on twitch.tv/HeelJosh. Make sure you guys hit that sub button here on YouTube so you guys know when I am live reacting. Guys, as always, I appreciate you watching this video, and I will see you in the next review.